Hey everybody, I really miss all of you, and I hope that you're all staying healthy and that you're continuing to be kind to your family, even though you've been together so long. Um, and I just wanted to let you know that I am going to be reading the book that we started together before we were off on this little crazy hiatus. And it is the book La Selva that we started right before, I think like a week before we left school. Unfortunately, I did not bring the Spanish version of the book home with me. And so I'm going to be reading Forest World, which is the same book but in English. So, because the chapters are short, I'll read about 10 minutes at a time and then just break it up into parts. So, follow along with me here if you would like to read or listen to, rather, a story about Edver. Forest World by Margarita Engel. Summer 2015, a time of change. Family disaster from the point of view of Edver. Miami, Florida, USA. I thought I was prepared for any emergency. Fires, floods, hurricanes, rogue gunmen, bombs, and worse, we've covered them all in scary student emergency training drills. We've shut down the school, painted our faces with fake blood, and practiced carrying one another to an imaginary helicopter, moaning and screaming with almost real fear as we pretend to survive crazy catastrophes. Nowhere in all that madness did I ever imagine being sent away by Mom to meet my long-lost dad in the remote forest where I was born on an island no one in Miami ever mentions, without sighs, smiles, curses, or tears. But travel laws have suddenly changed. The Cold War is over, and now it's a lot easier for divided half island, half mainland Cuban American families to be reunited. Mom is so weirdly thrilled. It seems suspicious. From the moment she announced that she was sending me away to meet Dad, I could tell how relieved she felt to be getting a relaxing break from her wild child, the troublemaker, me. If she would listen, I would argue that it's not my fault. A racing bicycle got in my way while I was playing a game on my phone and skateboarding at the same time. That's what games are for, entertainment, right? Escape. So that all those minutes spent gliding home from school aren't so shameful. As long as I stare into a private screen, no one who sees me knows I'm alone. Tap, zap, swipe. The phone makes me look as busy as someone with plenty of friends, a kid who's good at sports instead of science. In that way, I'm just like Mom, who hardly ever looks up from her laptop on weekends. She just keeps working like a maniac, trying to rediscover lost species. She's a cryptozoologist, a scientist who searches for hidden creatures, both the legendary ones like Bigfoot and others that no one ever sees anymore, simply because they're so rare and shy, hiding while terrorized by hunters, loggers, and poachers who sell their stuffed or pinned parts to collectors. Yuck. But what if there's more? What if Mom's real reason for peering into her secret online world is flirting to meet weird guys who might not even be the handsome heroes shown in their photos? What if she's dating and that's why she needs to get rid of me so she can go out with creeps while I'm away? Lusa, Our Fluttering Lives. La Selva, Cuba. Green, all around me. Blue, up above. And now my little brother is finally on his way to visit. I've heard about Edver all my life. From Abuelo, who misses his daughter, my mama, and from Papi, who speaks so mournfully of a time when we all lived together as a family, rooted in our forest and winged with shared dreams. Now, as I step down to a clay bank where clouds of blue butterflies have landed, brightness pulses as the radiant insects sip dark minerals from mud, performing a dance of hunger called puddling. Las mariposas, the butterflies, remind me of miniature angels, skyborn, glowing, magical and natural at the same time. Do they know how fragile and brief their airborne lives will be? After we travel to the city to meet my brother at the airport, maybe I'll come back to this mossy riverbank and sculpt a vision of people with upside down wings beneath leafy green trees rooted in sky. Or even better, I could just stand here and wait for a tiny colibri to arrive. A hummingbird no bigger than a bee, the world's smallest bird, one of the many living treasures that make Papi such a great wildlife superhero, protecting our forest's rare creatures from the hunger and greed of poachers. Edver, saying goodbye to my real life. On the last day of school before summer vacation, I moved like a shadow, trying to hide from all the kids who saw that video of me crashing my skateboard into the racing bike. If I ever learn how to code my own truly cool game, I'll fill it with shadow people whose feelings can't be seen. Tomorrow I'll fly to Cuba. Maybe getting away is a good thing. If I stayed home, all I would do is hide in my room and play games. Alone. Lusa. Raro. Que raro. How strange. Yes, it feels truly surrealistic to set out traveling like this, happily ready to meet a stranger and call him my brother. I hope he feels the same way about me. Rare. Like a forest bird in the city. Edver. The isolation of islands. The plane lands. A flight attendant leads me to a line. Questions. Answers. Another fidgety wait. More questions. I show my passport. My backpack is inspected. The dissecting microscope is passed around by men and women in uniforms, some blue, others green, until eventually everything is returned to me, instead of stolen. I sigh with relief, but by now I'm so nervous that all I want to do is calm my mind with the soothing clicks, taps, and whooshes of electronic dragon flames in my favorite game, an online world filled with griffin slobber, troll breath, and the oozing farts of lumbering ogres. Imaginary animals are almost as bizarre as the real ones, like that iridescent green jewel cockroach wasp I wrote about for a nonfiction book report. The wasp injects poison into a roach's brain, turning the bigger insect into a zombie that can be ridden like a horse, using the antenna as reins until they reach the wasp's nest, where, guess what the obedient roach is slowly, grossly, guess what? The obedient roach is slowly, grossly eaten by squirming larvae. No beeps or ringtones now. No web of games and calming clicks. No internet at all, for researching hideously fascinating natural stuff. Being phoneless is my punishment for that stupid bicyclist's injuries, but Mom says I wouldn't be able to find cell phone signals in Dad's forest anyway, and hardly anyone on this entire island has ever been on the internet. So, I might as well be visiting the distant past instead of a geographic curiosity, this antique place where I was born. All around me, Havana's Jose Marti Airport bustles with joyful, abruptly reunited families. All the shrieks, sobs, and hugs of long-lost relatives as they find one another for the first time in 20, 15, or 50 years. I miss my phone. How can such a loud island be as electronically silent as prehistory? Lusa, Futurology. Papi is so dedicated to patrolling our forest that he won't leave for even one day. That's why the villagers call him El Lobo. He never gives up when he's tracking a poacher who wants to eat a rare parrot or steal a bee-sized hummingbird and sell it as a pet. So, Abuelo and I are the only ones who make the long trip to meet my brother at the airport. Fortunately, my grandpa knows how to find rides the whole way, as we bump and rattle along potholed roads in old cars already crowded with other hitchhikers, all of us weary after an ordeal of waiting, sweating, and praying beneath the blazing sun. This is verano, the rainy season, but for some unknown reason we're in the middle of our island's worst drought. Is it climate change, the disaster Papi keeps talking about? Rivers of clouds above rivers of water have suddenly dried up, leaving tropical parts of the world uncertain. To pass the time, I imagine a future of cave-dwelling, tool-making rats that will someday rule everything unless deforestation is stopped. What a dilemma, Abuelo points out. We need transportation, but we also want limitations. We need farmland, but we can't chop down all the wild, natural treasures of the world. Drought in the rainy season is this year's curse. Last year, we had too many foreign tourists stealing plants from our forest to use as medicines, or to plant the prettiest orchids in greenhouses, or simply because people are greedy and Poppy can't patrol every trail all the time. Even a wolf needs a pack, a team. If only Mama had never left. Together, the two of them could have been fierce.